My name is Danielle Wolesensky, and I am the head of our customer experience teams here at webAI.
Doug Kreuzkamp, the founder and CEO of Springshot, which is an orchestration platform, a company based in San Francisco. We support airport operations around the world. Our goal is to help people keep aircraft on schedule at airports, supporting just about every type of role that does support the turn of the aircraft.
No, that's incredible, and we're super happy to have been your partner through that. And I would love to hear about how it was able to effortlessly be implemented with your workflows.
Really, happy with the work that we've done with webAI around the first model that we've ever deployed together. The idea for the model came from the work that we do for Spirit Airlines. We support a number of airlines around the world around full orchestration of their operations. Spirit's one of those airlines, and they had a very specific problem that they wanted solved. And historically, we've looked at AI, and it's always felt like, well, maybe in 5 years that's going to be a real thing. It feels like a lot of fluff, honestly, or it's felt like a lot of fluff. And so Spirit had this very specific issue. Apple had it was either Apple or Southwest or both had introduced us to your team, Danielle. And we thought, wow, this is the perfect opportunity for us to do something together. So the model itself is focused on a very specific safety requirement in commercial aviation. The requirement is related to the fire suppression system in the cargo hold of an aircraft. If there's a fire in that section, so it's the part of the aircraft obviously below the passengers where all of the bags are at, it escalates quickly. These fires are very difficult to detect, and if it breaches containment, then the consequences are catastrophic. You can imagine what happens when there's a fire down there. And so the FAA is very focused in the United States on airlines making sure that bags are not loaded all the way to the top of the cargo hold. And so there's something called the fire suppression line that's painted on the side of the cargo hold. It's maybe 6 inches below the top. And what the FAA will do is we'll go out and we'll do audits to make sure that when the ramp team loads that aircraft, all of the bags have that gap. And so historically, Spirit, like other airlines, has done a great job training on this topic. They've audited on this topic. They've reinforced with employees on how they need to comply with that. But the issue's been they face the same reality that many airlines face, and that's you've got high turnover in these jobs. So people are changing over often. So while the person in the job last week may have been trained, the person that comes in this week may not be as familiar with that. You've got the fact that people are busy. It's very difficult for leadership to get out and audit that this is being done on every single flight. And so it was based on all of that. We thought, wow, we already have an Apple iPhone in the hands of these ramp employees. They're already using us to collaborate. We actually already had them taking pictures of the cargo hold once the aircraft was loaded. So we thought, wow, if we could work with a great AI partner, we could work together to build an awesome lightweight model that we could insert into our workflow so that when the ramp team loaded the aircraft, took the picture, we'd immediately know whether or not the load was compliant or not. And so that's kind of the story of how we came to meet you guys, how we came to work with you. And it's been an awesome partnership to date.
Why is specialized edge deployed AI the missing piece for aviation operations?
Yeah, a number of reasons that edge is particularly important in our space. The first that comes to mind is bandwidth, right, and web connectivity. We definitely have unique experience here. We're 15 years old, and so we're very familiar with the fact that in some spaces of the airport, you're just not going to have a connection. And so if the model is not deployed on edge, then the picture may be taken, but it'll sit on that phone until it finds a signal. Yeah, so latency is a very big issue. And honestly, given the state of connectivity in some airports, it could make the model, it could make it not even work. And so edge is really important for that reason. A couple of other things, Danielle, that have come across, since we really focused on that issue, but have come to mind. One is privacy, right? So obviously we've got these images encrypted in transit, everything is encrypted at rest, but why take the chance of someone intercepting something that could be pretty important for one of our partners? And so privacy is a critical component as well. And so when the image is taken on the phone and the model runs on edge on the device, the photo never needs to leave the device. And honestly, given the way our workflow is established, the ramp crew member may take 2, 3, 4 photos, right, that are non-compliant. Maybe they have to shift things around. And so if I were the airline, I would not want those photos to go anywhere. I would just want the one photo that shows at the end that the team member did the job well. So those are most important. I think one additional piece is around the latency, and it's around, you'd mentioned earlier, the adoption, right? And people worrying about, oh my gosh, AI or autonomy, they're gonna take, those things are gonna take my jobs. And so it's really important that when workers, especially we're talking the ramp crew, right? And so wonderful people, but from socioeconomic standpoint, kind of lower paying jobs, we really wanna make sure that they embrace the technology. And so with the model running on edge, we've got the ability to deliver the results instantaneously. And so people are more prone to say, oh, hey, this thing is making my life easier than if it were not running on edge and it took 3 seconds, 5 seconds to return. Then, time is money in the space, and they're gonna be upset and say, hey, I don't want to work with AI anymore, which is no good for all of us.
I know you've talked about Springshot and webAI being a 1-2 punch. What does each company contribute to that combination?
Yeah, that's a great question. Historically, we don't see ourselves as an AI company, right? I don't know what the future holds, but for now, there's such a low-hanging fruit for us to focus on that we'd like to, focus efforts there. But it's very important, obviously, if you're a SaaS company today, or honestly any business, if you don't have an AI component, you'll be left behind. And so for us, we've been looking for great partners to augment our capabilities, and certainly felt like having a partner that is proficient in AI is really important. So when I think about the 1-2 punch, I think about us as both the last and first mile of technology that sits between all of the employees that need to support airport operations in the dozens, if not hundreds, of disparate systems that are used to power the airline, right? So I see that's where we need to be. So that's kind of 1-2 punch, that's one of the punches. The other punch is the AI component. And so if we are that final mile, if we are the interface that can direct that model to that end user in a way that they can engage with it, then we can tap into that model, and that's where the magic happens, right? Where quickly, within milliseconds, we're able to determine that the team member did something right. So that's the 1-2 punch.
I guess then kind of continuing on with AI, and I know you don't want to be an AI industry, but I am curious, when you look at everything that's happening in aviation and in the industry right now, how would you describe the future of operations as AI becomes more embedded?
Yeah, we're absolutely at a tipping point in operations overall, specifically within aviation operations. I'd say it's been the last 18 months that we've really seen this take shape. I think there are many different contributing factors. One is the AI is at a point where it can be deployed in a targeted, pragmatic way where you can really solve use cases today. And so certainly the model we built, the work that webAI is doing around manuals and natural language searching, to get through thousands of pages of manuals to quickly get to the answer you want, that's another piece. There are other partners that we've worked with computer vision, on cameras that are fixed to jet bridges, and those are providing information to us via object detection, right? So that's now something that's readily available. So I think AI has finally gotten to the point where it's not this, oh, hey, we're gonna optimize everything and change the world, right? So I think that's a big piece. Another piece is around weirdly autonomy, and that over the last couple of years, there's been a ton of progress in aviation around autonomous baggage tractors, around autonomous robots for baggage lifting, around autonomous jet bridges in Japan, autonomous wheelchairs. So there's a company, amazing company in Japan we're working with to take control of autonomous wheelchairs and dispatch them. And so I think there have been a lot of things that have finally driven this transformation to the point where the finance folks and kind of the CIO level folks in airlines have said, wow, we actually need to prioritize this. Whereas forever, the revenue side and the brand has been the focus of airlines. And so I think things have gotten to the point where that's a focus and a priority. So I do think that we're gonna see a lot of transformation over the next 5 or 10 years, and AI is obviously going to play a pivotal role in all that.
Going back to kind of the previous question, in your answer you mentioned that you described Springshot as the first and last mile. So would you mind kind of talking a bit more about that, and what does that mean in practice for crews, airlines, and operators?
Yeah, and a very good question. Yeah, for those that don't work in airport operations, they probably would be flabbergasted to realize how many different systems people are expected to interact with.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, I'll share theirs, won't name them, but there's a major airline in the United States I know well that has over 800 different systems that are used to power that airline. And so I think about all those different fragmented, disparate systems, right? A lot of them compete with each other. They're competing for the attention of an end user where every second matters. And honestly, I think where Springshot really separates itself in this space, we care about visual design. Visual design matters, product matters, right? And so even if you have a few of these systems that do a good job, the design's bad. And so for us, when I think about the last mile, we're the last mile between all those different systems, and then we can assimilate, consolidate into one point, and then that's our interface. And then very easily, we connect with the synapses of the human brain, and we're able to nudge a human user to take an action in a quiet way. So that's the last mile. The first mile is that while sensors are in many places today in the operation, they're not everywhere. And so while sensors can be used to bring in data points that feed into those systems that I mentioned, oftentimes you still need a human being to use the most important form of intelligence, and that's here, the human intelligence, right? And so there are things that only humans can process through all the senses that we have. And so when you need a human being to input information into these systems, Springshot is that first mile where we insert data back in. And so that's where I see kind of last mile here to the human, first mile back into the technology.
So the Spirit Airlines fire suppression model is a powerful example of what we've built together. What part of that story are you most proud of?
It was through partnership that it became, with you guys, that it became fun and easy. So it involves the decision, so I'll get to the boring part to start, and then I'll expand and it'll be fun. The boring part is we came to a point in the process where we needed to make a decision as to whether or not we would generate synthetic images to train the model. In even my layperson knowledge of AI at the moment in time certainly have grown quite a bit, but I knew that did not sound good. And so no, I don't want synthetic images. This is a very important safety risk that we're preventing or solving for. And so what we did, we had the choice, I think we had, of all the photos that we had collected over the years that we used to train the model, tens and tens of thousands of photos, I think we had about 400 where we felt that the ramp team member perfectly took a picture of the cargo hold area and framed it so that the model could detect whether or not the suppression line was complied with or not. And so what we did was we said, hey, look, instead of generating the synthetic images, and instead of shifting our definition of perfection for something that's imperfect, we said, hey, look, we've got a feature in Springshot called bulletins. And with bulletins, the user community at Spirit, they're our user audience. And so we had the ability to interact with them directly. And so Spirit was an amazing partner. We said, hey guys, what if we created a photo contest? And so what we did was we put together a bulletin and really trained everyone within a 2-week period of here's how you take the perfect photo. And then we ran a contest for 3 weeks in a row where we gave away gift cards. I'm ashamed, they weren't that much, maybe like $100. But we said, hey, look, if you capture one perfect photo over the course of a week, you'll be thrown into the raffle. And then each week we raffled off the gift cards. So we did that, and at the end, I think whoever had taken the most perfect images, they got like a $250 gift card. So with just that, right, with not a lot of money, we're talking certainly under $1,000, we were able to go from 400 images that we had collected probably over the span of a year to 4,400 images in just 4 weeks. And that was enough to train the model so that it does the job it does today. Kind
of going on the same line of the model from deployment. It took to get 100% adoption in 1 hour. So can you walk us through how that model went from deployment to 100% adoption in 1 hour?
That's a really good point as well, right? But you think that, okay, we built this model, we deployed it, it's gonna take weeks or months or whatever. It doesn't have to be that way. So with Spirit, we already had the iPhone in the hands of the ramp crew. And so they were already using Springshot to communicate, to receive tasks, to complete tasks. As part of that workflow, they already were taking the picture of their cargo hold. And so all we needed to do was flip a switch internally, and we deployed that within, literally took a few minutes. So we said an hour, right? Probably maybe percolated out over the course of an hour, but we flipped the switch. So the next time a ramp crew member completed the task of finishing the load and confirming fire suppression line compliance, up came the camera, but then there was an overlay now, just like you're depositing a check.
Yeah.
And so the overlay had a, kind of an image of the cargo hold with the fire suppression line painted, and then from there they could frame it as they'd been trained to through the photo contest.
Yes.
And they took it and off they went. And so literally within, honestly, probably took minutes. We said it was up to an hour, but we were able to drive change throughout the entire ecosystem of Spirit Airlines, including all of the business partners that they work with, that they've outsourced this work to. It was amazing.
Cool. So what are some challenges and obstacles that we had to overcome as partners to get that use case deployed and adopted?
I think Danielle, initial decision was, how do we balance the need to confirm with 100% certainty that if we say the fire suppression line was met, that we know it was met. So we really wanted the model to be robust. It's a very important safety component. But at the same time, we couldn't wait even 2 or 3 seconds for the model to run, because if a user sat there with the phone and it were kind of spinning, waiting for the response, then the technology would not be adopted. And so you guys were amazing. Fatih on your team was amazing and walked us through, the different models that were available, and really thought long and hard about what's the best approach. And so initially, we were thinking about one big model that would run, and based on all of the different options, that really wasn't the best because it would take time. And so we smartly thought about, let's make this a 2-model approach. And so I give you guys a ton of credit for thinking through the right model that would provide the performance we need and ensure that we don't have false positives, but also make it lightweight enough so that we would meet the adoption needs of the workforce. So that's something that your team brought to the table. And honestly, the product wouldn't be what it is if we didn't really think about those thoughtful considerations. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. And I think, we learned a lot from our partnership there too. And I think one of the biggest things that we took away is start small and ship quickly. And also, you find out when there are lags and slower response times, it's not going to have as much of an impact. So having those millisecond responses is huge. And I'm really happy that we were able to build that and create that with you guys. And I think that, for anyone who is looking to have future partners with AI, it's important to keep those in mind. Do bite-sized pieces that you're gonna start, not going to a crazy big project or program. And I think that the Spirit deployment is a template that we want to try and use, rinse and repeat across different industries. And I'm really happy that we were able to see success really quick on.
Yeah, and I would say too, you bring up good points here, that you don't need perfection for everything, right? If we're working on safety compliance, you absolutely want to ensure that there are no false positives, right? And so if we say something is compliant, it must be compliant. But then you have a number of other options. So if it's not compliant, why is it not compliant? It could be that the camera was off at a slight angle, or it was a little dark, right? Or there's a minor obstruction, but we know it's not showing that we're non-compliant. And so to get the performance you need, both from no false positives and with the speed of the model, it's okay, right? It's okay to say, maybe we'll say the outcome was the picture was dark, when maybe that really wasn't it. Maybe it was the camera was off center, but that's okay. Right, so I think your team was like, hey, we have flexibility on some of these, whereas an engineer always wants everything to be at a certain standard. Like, don't worry about that. Let's make sure that this model performs well for what it's meant to do.
I think that's something that I would also love to get your thoughts on are, you're a leader who started getting into AI, and I know you mentioned you founded it Springshot 15 years ago. So if you were recommending to another leader, how would you recommend them to start with AI?
So you said it earlier, have the courage to start small.
Yeah.
And that sounds weird. But why would courage be mixed in with start small?
Yeah.
But you probably get it. As a leader, you have investors, you have a board, and they expect big things.
Yeah.
And I tell you, if you just have your head focused in the head in the clouds, and you're focused on just big things and changing the world, you're going to focus there for years, and you're not going to have the ability to really direct change. And so I do think have the courage to really think about how can you apply AI in a targeted, precise way today.
Yeah.
Really articulate what the use case is, and go after it.
Yeah.
Right, because we've seen it already with the work we've done. Now, when I travel throughout the world talking with other airlines, and I showcase fire suppression line, there are airlines in certain countries where it's completely irrelevant, but they say, Doug, based on what you've done there, could you do this? Could you do that, right? And so you mentioned it earlier, you quickly build this momentum where now you're stacking in AI in a ton of different ways and you're making progress, but I would say it takes courage for a leader to do that. So that'd be my advice.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And I think it's something, what we learned with our partnership and what we at webAI recommend with our partners and our users is, we want to make AI feel tangible, accessible, not going to be billions. And we also want it to be practical and trusted. We don't want it to be just this robot's going to cook us all dinner. We want it to be something that's solving a meaningful problem. And then, like you said, the momentum just keeps building and those investors see a return for their investment. And then we're able to keep building awesome stuff on it. So yeah, exactly. I think that's, have courage
Well, I applaud you guys for having courage to think about that there's value, right? Because you could say, I don't want to work on this little aviation niche fire suppression line. So I applaud you guys and your team for having the courage to see that.
And and that's again where we trust our experts, and with a good partnership is you guys are the experts, and we trusted you all to guide us with the fire suppression lines. So I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but I would love to hear what does the future for this partnership and success look like with Springshot and webAI?
Yeah, we've really thoroughly enjoyed the time that we've worked with your team. Have a massive amount of respect for everyone at webAI, and so we have the trust now. Right, so when I go tell an airline that's been a partner of ours for 7 years that, hey, I think I can accomplish what you need me to accomplish, I've got confidence that webAI can do that. And so that the success of what we've done so far really enables me from a business development standpoint to articulate this broader vision to the community, knowing that we'll have the ability to accomplish it.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for coming in. I think that this was a really great opportunity for us to talk a bit more about what a partnership at webAI would look like and talking more about just partnerships in AI and the aviation industry in general. So it's been a pleasure to hear more about how you went from kind of zero to in adoption and adopting a deployed model. So it is something that I'm really excited to continue working with you and your teams, and I've really appreciated this partnership and continue supporting you throughout the entire life cycle, because it doesn't just end at adoption, it continues. We want to support you after and find additional small, meaningful projects to tackle.
Well, Danielle, I can't thank you enough for having me here, and your time, the team's time at webAI. It's been an amazing journey so far, although I hesitate to call it a journey. It sounds like it's coming to an end. It's been an awesome start to the journey, and I could tell you that the industry is ready. It's finally ready for AI to drive meaningful change, and your approach to bringing AI to the masses, to make it bite-sized, is right on point. And it's just been such a pleasure working with you guys. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.